Good evening, everyone. What an honor and a pleasure to be here celebrating our second annual BAAM Visionary virtual exhibit. And this is a program where we celebrate that Black Alaskan art matters. And what a wonderful series featuring incredible artists, Black artists throughout Alaska. And as we do, we always begin by honoring Alaska Natives and the land with our land acknowledgement. So here we are. We reside on the unceded territories of the Occoquan on what is currently known as Juneau and Douglas, Alaska. And we acknowledge that the Tlingit peoples have been stewards of this land since time immemorial, and we are grateful for their stewardship and incredible care. We recognize a series of unjust actions that attempted to remove them from their land, which includes forced relocations and the burning of villages. We honor the relationships that exist between Tlingit peoples, their lands, their ancestors, and future generations. And here at Perseverance Theater, we aspire to work toward healing and liberation, recognizing our paths are intertwined in the complex histories of colonization in Alaska. We acknowledge also that we arrived here by listening to the people's elders, to their lessons from the past, and these stories carry us as we weave a healthier world for future generations. I also want to share that as a creative company, we are committed to learning from and meaningfully including holding space and strengthening our work with Alaska Native peoples. We know their brilliance, vibrant languages, cultures, ways of life, and relationships with all aspects of their worlds bring knowledges and understandings we cannot know or access without their consent or partnership. So we seek to build a right relationship with the Native peoples of Alaska because it will make our work better. In fact, it already has, and because it's the right thing to do. So Perseverance Theater honors and respects the cultures, again, the traditions, languages, and ways of life of Alaska Native and all Native Indigenous ancestors, elders, and their descendants, past, present, of course, and well into the future. So with that, I say, Gunashtish, Hawa, Indoyaksin, Chinan, and Anabase. I also want to recognize that we do our work in Anchorage of the Dena'ina peoples. And we have on our staff a wonderful Alaska Native artist who is of the Koyukon people. So we honor their ancestors, elders, and them also as descendants. So thank you all for joining us this evening. And as we get off in right purpose, here we are. I want to acknowledge that we're celebrating Black History Month. And I've been getting to watch this wonderful series, the BAM Visionary series, through the recordings. So you can visit our Facebook page where we have those recordings, those videos. And I've been a little bit absent, so I thank you for your grace because we've been opening the Brothers Paranormal, where we've been actually honoring and centering the stories of the Black community in relation with the Asian community. So we'll hope you'll join us, especially if you're in Juneau or you want to come to Juneau on Klinkatani and join us for that stage play. We are live and in person, and of course, with mitigation plans to keep everyone safe. If you're planning on it, please do make a reservation. It's the best way for us to keep you safe so we can seat you with social distancing and keep everyone healthy and so you can relax and enjoy the show. So with that, here we are, this wonderful series, the BAM Visionary virtual exhibit, where we get to honor and lift up a Black Alaskan artist. So to help us do that this evening, it's my great honor and pleasure, oh my goodness, to have been getting to know you, MC MoHagani Magnetek. How wonderful that you're back with us as one of our BAM curators of this beautiful exhibit, this powerful exhibit. And I lift you up as one of our most established, celebrated Black artists in Alaska and in the US. So thank you so much for being one of our curators again. And thank you for moderating this evening. I can't wait to meet our artists and get to enjoy their stories and the history that you'll be examining. I know you'll tell us a little bit about the title as we go forward this evening. So take it away, MC MoHagani Magnetek. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Shout out to the Perseverance Theater. And we have Irene Martinko. She's a DJ video person behind the scenes, handling things. So I want to give shout out to them. And much love to my co-curators, Alyssa Quentin and Amable Rosa. And myself, we are your curators for BAAM Black Alaskan Arts Matter. This is our second year, this is our second Black Alaskan Arts Matter exhibit, but over the span of 2 years. Anyways, but we are here. And, we're back again and we're black at it, as Mabel said once before. And I'm happy to be curating our conversation this evening with Cal Williams. And we're just going to, we'll bring Cal in here in a minute. We're going to have a discussion about Black Alaskan artists specifically. And I'm most excited about Cal Williams. I don't know how long I've known Cal or known of Cal, but I've seen his work time and again in the community, and we've often crossed circles many times. But this is the first time that we've been on a platform together that I know of. But Cal Williams is like, this elder that's like this has this wealth of knowledge and information. If you ever follow his like YouTube, his Facebook, his social media, just see him out in the community doing stuff, he always has some really, really good, like positive, uplifting things to say. And not only is like he's good in understanding and talking about history and culture, but he's an artist himself. He does theater, he does drumming and all kinds of things. But we're gonna let Cal get it, tell you some more about that himself. So if you all don't mind, Cal Williams to the stage.
Oh wow. Well, thank you so much, MoHagani. Thank you very much indeed for your kind words. And in fact, I was going to say that you and I crossed paths numerous times in things, because the work that you do parallels very much with the work that I've done throughout my life, both being an artist, a performing artist, and being one who is socially conscious and socially involved in working to make social change. So in that regard, we have crossed paths because of those parallels. Back at the march, or I don't know, some say protest, some say demonstration, right, over at REI, we crossed paths over there. And then lo and behold, or behold and lo, the photographer had a picture of you and me right there side by side in two things. So I thought, wow, destiny is pushing us together and mission is pushing us together. So definitely great being here tonight.
Definitely. Now that you bring it up, that does say that, there's another platform. We in the museum together. Well, at least was the the Black Folks in Alaska exhibit it has closed, or it's going to be closing soon, from what I understand.
Yes,
but that was a great exhibit, and it talks about. It didn't get into art so much at all, but I mean, we saw a few artists in the exhibit, but more so just the history of Black folks in Alaska, which is really good. And I'm curious to know, who is Cal Williams? How did Cal Williams make it to Alaska, and so why did Cal stay?
Well, I grew up in Monroe, Louisiana, the segregated South, born there in 1941. Don't tell a soul. But there I was across the street from a Catholic school. My grandmother, who was taking lead in my upbringing at the time, because 7 days after I was born, Pearl Harbor was bombed. And most of the men, including my father, left, disappeared, and went off to war. So it was the women mostly who were involved with the raising and bringing up of children and stuff, because The women were working in the factories. The women were taking care of the children that were left behind as the men went off to war. My grandmother was a very active Methodist, and she was a nurse. They made her and 12 others nurses during that time because, again, the war was on, and they didn't want white females administering and servicing and taking care of all of these injured black men that were coming back with their arms and legs shot off. So they came up with, oh, let's make some nurses. And they made the licensed practical colored nurses of Louisiana, of which my grandmother was in the first class and became president of the Louisiana Licensed Practical Colored Nurses. Well, I say all of that to say that I was an odd duck. I was there in the segregated South among most of my peers who were of lesser means than my grandmother and me. My father went off to the war and signed a little document that said I would receive monthly allowances of money, enough to go to that private Catholic school across the street. Mm-hmm. So I was lucky, blessed, if you will, or whatever. And in that, my mother had always been a singer. She sang throughout the entire pregnancy with me. She was in the gospel choir singing. So there I was, a Catholic trapped in a Baptist gospel singing womb for 9 months. So I learned all of that gospel music there in the womb. And they, gal, you're going to drop that baby in the choir stand. You better take a break or so. But my mother sang every day around the house, washing and whatever she was doing, she was always singing. And then she insisted that I sang with her. And actually, I started singing before I could talk. I was singing these songs back and forth with her, mimicking her. And because we didn't have televisions and we did have radio and that kind of stuff, the entertainment when people would visit was me. Boy, do your poem. Boy, sing your song. Boy, do the ham bone. Boy, do this. So I was constantly being pushed to entertain and carry on. And I took that out to the school with me, entertaining and acting up in the classes and stuff. And it was noticed by Sister Consuela, the principal, and she got her revenge when most of the males who were in the theater class left. She walked in and said, Calvin, next year you will take theater. Theater? I don't take no theater. So she insisted with that finger, you will take theater. And there she is. This woman pushed me on the stage and insisted that I get out there and perform and stuff. So I owe my upbringing and pushing onto the stage to my mother and Sister Consuela. Show off that I was. They gave me a venue in which to do it.
So how long then, yeah, go on, listen. I was asking.
I'm sorry.
I was asking how long have you been in Alaska then? I mean, you went all the way from Mississippi to Alaska, your grandmother?
Louisiana. Well, I got involved after the military. I got involved in civil rights with CORE, Congress of Racial Equality. We were doing voter registration and voter education, Jonesboro, Mississippi, here and there, going and teaching voter registration and getting people involved in the political process with CORE. Right. This friend of mine, Charles Levige and John Levige, they had been in Alaska since 1960. Their father had brought them up here. They came home for Christmas of 64, and you need to come up here. Great opportunity. The racism isn't as bad. Good jobs, etc. My grandmother overheard the conversation and urged, yeah, sounds like good opportunity. You ought to go up there. So January the 6th, 1965, I came to Alaska, and I've been here ever since, other than a stint in Hollywood, which we'll talk about later.
What? Hollywood? You went to you did a stint in Hollywood?
Well, yes, my desire as a kid was to be like Sidney Poitier or
Mm.
Dale, Dale. Daylight come and me want to go home. Dale, me said that, 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 oh. Daylight come and me want to go home. I thought I was Harry Belafonte. I thought I was Elvis Presley. I thought I was certainly Sidney Poitier. So that was my dream, go to Hollywood in the back of my head. So having come to Alaska here in 1965 and gotten involved with some theater, which we must talk about, some of the theater that was taking place here in Alaska at that time, historical stuff. And the desire to go to Hollywood was always in the back of my head. So in 1971, at the conclusion of my term as president of the NAACP, I thought that was a great time to go to Hollywood. I was there from 71 to 75. This was the time they were doing Black exploitative movies. And they were not looking for trained actors such as myself. They were hiring athletes with name and box draw, like Jim Brown, O.J. Simpson, Rosie Greer. These guys were getting the roles to play when thespians who could talk and articulate and take on characters were sitting around going to calls and not getting the roles. If we did get something, it was again exploitative, and it was not Shakespeare. It was die, hunky, die.
It's either one or the other. It reminds me of that film, Robert Townsend's film, Hollywood Shuffle, and which focuses on like Black artists, actors trying to make it in Hollywood, and that. I love Black exploitation films. Oh my goodness, and that's something I haven't had the opportunity to talk about with a lot of people because it's problematic history. That's one. But there's a lot of good things to take out of some Black exploitation films and that whole era. I mean, just think about Sweet Sweetback's badass song. He had Earth, Wind and Fire do the entire album, like the entire soundtrack, and that hadn't been done before. No, but Earth, Wind and Fire wasn't even Earth, Wind and Fire. They were just Earth and Wind at the time. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's get focused here.
Well, you remind me this, and there he was. If you watch those films, the color would change from various times because he would have Technicolor and Vision and Future. He was taking the raw ends of leftover films and stuff and shooting and splicing it together. Very low budget, but very, very well done, and a great opportunity for those who were not working to work.
Groundbreaking, and I don't think that Melvin Van Peebles gets the credit he's due. I don't think so. And then, but Sidney Poitier just passed away recently, and one of my friends like, I thought he had already died a long time ago. I was like, nah, he was quite old. He'd been around a long time, but like the bulk of his career, it already passed by the time my generation come along. But that's good stuff. So when you say that when you first got here in 1965, am I correct?
Yes.
What was the Black art scene like in Alaska?
Well, artists, performers. We had down in the flats, Eastchester Flats, which is a location down where Shiloh Baptist Church is, several Black-owned bars down there, and they all had live entertainment. So when you talk about an artist, we had coming through this community Lou Rawls, Etta James, Jimi Hendrix, the organ player, and even Joe Louis came through and stuff. So Anchorage was kind of like a drawing port. Blacks had more bars and restaurants then than they have today.
Yeah.
And as a result, we had Sir Lady Java. This was a uh, a person who was they call it back in those days, a female impersonator. And
Mm.
Sir Lady Java came and shook up the town. This was in 1968 at the Brief Encounter, a club located on 15th Avenue at Hyder. That building remains there today. It's next door to the weed store. Um, Currently, they had in there a barbershop. This club, the Brief Encounter, had a circular stair that went down. Etta James came down that stair that night. At last, my love's come along. Oh man, we was ready. Ooh, man. So those kind of artists and entertainers, we had a local band around here, Good Rockin' Brown. They was incredible, and they had a lead singer, Ernestine Wilkins, who sound like Aretha Franklin.
Mm.
We had Glenn Campbell, God rest his soul, who lived down on 20th in that East Chester Flats area, and Herb Chapman. These guys came together, the four of them and a female, three of them and a female, and they sound and dress like the Temptations. They
Wow.
rock the city. And up on Fourth Avenue, where the fire department currently is, was the Mermaid Room, owned by Danny Gibson and Ruby Gibson. The Mermaid Room had a crystal mermaid behind the bar. And there is where Lou Rawls came to town.
Is that Oyster Bar now, like on D Street? There's a
No,
mermaid.
it's currently the fire department, that big building downtown. The fire department takes up that whole block.
Yes,
Within
and they have
that
a
block,
statue
there's
outside of it. Yeah.
yes,
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
that's
Wow.
where the Mermaid Room was. I mean, yes, the Mermaid Room,
The
Danny
mermaid.
Gibson Club.
That's really fascinating.
Oh, we used to rock down there, man. Every time I walked in there, they go down, 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 and that was my cue to go up. I've got sunshine.
All right
I do
now.
that to rock. So we had band performers, but in theater, a guy named Brady Jackson, a male actor, and his wife was also involved in theater. They built sets and did stuff with the Anchorage Community Theater. The only black around that was going on stage at that time, largely, was Brady Jackson. Even after Brady became paralyzed and was in a wheelchair, he
Mm.
did two plays. He did two plays in the wheelchair. So Brady Jackson is historical for being an African American on stage. We had a lady named Betty McDonald, who was a contralto that sang very much like, um, um, what's her name? Oh my goodness, I was thinking of her today. Maria Anderson, the black female.
Sing
Yeah,
it to
she did operatic things, singing Maria Anderson. Yeah, that was her name, I think. At any rate, Betty McDonald did work with the symphony and stuff downtown. She was the only African American on stage singing and doing that kind of stuff.
Why is that? Why is it? I've been wondering this, right? When we talk about black artists in Alaska, are we talking about that, opportunities where doors were shut, like, colored, you can't go here? Or are we talking about the black, Alaskan artists like making way for ourselves, regardless of
Well,
whether the doors or not? Why is there so many, onlys?
well, there's a mountain to climb for black artists and local artists, both. Back in 1965, we used to have these jam sessions over in the little house over there on 42nd, sitting around. And Paul Brown, who I hope is online today, Paul Brown used to hang out with us, we hippies and all that stuff, talking about the need for a theater, the need for a place for local artists to be able to do their thing. History went on and on. And next thing I know, lo and behold, or behold and lo again, Paul Brown was the director down at the Anchorage Rep at the Performing Arts Center.
Wow.
And one day I said, "Hey, Paul, good thing you in here. Now we can do some stuff, right?" And he said, "Well, Cal, we've got to compete with theater across the nation for roles, and to get people in the seats, we need really to have shows coming in and that. So it became what it was and is, a theater where we get people coming in with shows and cats and whiz and all that stuff, but very little opportunity for the local artists to perform. And we used to have clubs and stuff where people would perform. And then the club started saying, well, can you cut your band down to 4 members? 3 members. Hey, how about just you and your wife? Well, we go on karaoke. So then they started having the customers get up and entertain the customers. Didn't have to pay a band. So the local artists started drying up, leaving town, and not having the incentive. In New Orleans, you walk around and practically every kid can play St. Louis blues, and when the Saints go marching in, they can play that. But when I look for a piano player around here to do something with me, it is few and far between to find a keyboard player. We can't find the outlet, and that's what we must do. Rather than complain, that's what we must do, is start mentoring the youth, providing an opportunity for them to toot the horn and do the thing, and encourage that. The greatest thing is we got going is certainly East High Jazz Band. They rock over there and they do their thing, and I'm very happy for that. But we also need the street musicians out there making noise and pushing, so that we can build a hunger for local artists and an incentive for them to do the work, discipline.
Right. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, and I was born in '76, and so like hip hop, rap music is where it's at for me. But like Houston and so many other places that Houston was one of those places where we fed our local artists, and our local artists fed us, so that the music, the hip hop, rap scene in Houston is like all its own, but it runs itself, just like in New Orleans and stuff like this. That it runs itself. But here, you're right, and I've heard some of my other artist friends who are performing artists and everything say, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm going to Cali. I'm going to New York. I'm going to just leave Alaska." So like, we're not, cultivating our performing artists very much here. And but and so sometimes I wonder, like, is the legacy, has it always been that way? But then when I started, doing stuff, just like last year, a friend of mine, one of the members of our quarantine sister circle, reached out to me yesterday. It's like, MoHagani, we coming up on the 1-year anniversary of your choreo poem for color ladies who consider pool tabs when, with their last $2. And I was like, oh yeah, right. And but when I did that, and that was just a year ago. So I mean, it's history in itself. But it was a callback, a callback to some work that was done in the '90s. Vivian Mel was telling me about it because she helped direct it and put on a production for colored girls who considered suicide when a rainbow wasn't enough. And it was fascinating because that was her director debut, and last year was my director debut. And but also in talking to her about it, it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm kind of getting back deeper into the histories of what I'm looking for, because I've gone to the archives at the library, and I came across the Black Artists Network. I'm probably getting the acronym wrong and everything, but I found records like from the '80s, like a couple entries there. It said there was some type of coalition in theater building. 80s, 90s, and so Vivian kind of got me to the 90s and stuff. And then I had some conversations with Shirley Staten from time to time to kind of got me back into the 80s. But with you, this is the first time I've been able to, get into the 60s and 70s. I mean, I'm an anthropologist, a cultural anthropologist, so I love talking about these things and getting into the depths of it. And I'm just like fascinated to know, like, what was it like? I mean, yeah, okay, it was only, small here and there, but it grew. Like, so, from 1960, 1970, 80s, what was happening with Black artists in Alaska?
Well, you mentioned Vivian, and it reminds me that in the 70s, there was a lady named Irene Miller who was the head of the RN nursing program at UAA. That's Ken Miller, who is contemporary around here. You may know him. That's his mother. Well, Irene Miller had been a performer, dancer, doing all kinds of stuff. And she is the one who brought Timbuktu here. And we did it in the Wendy Williamson Theater. And Vivian was my wife in that. I think Vivian has been my wife in about 3 or 4 different plays. But that was one where, again, she was my wife. And we did that over at the Wendy Williamson Theater. Sadly, with her death, we haven't had a person that does that kind of sustained work where you're going to do a play every year. Corinthia Robb was very much a presence with the Black Arts North, and her work with the youth and stuff was tremendous and wonderful. And in fact, she was doing a show, The Greatest Show. And I was in it, in fact, and we rehearsed. And for our opening, which was going to be at the little theater there in the library, we went over for the dress rehearsal, and that was the night in March of, I think, 2021, when they walked in and said, "Everybody's got to go. We're shutting it down. There's a pandemic. You got to get out of the building."
Pandemonium is what it was.
Pandemonium, a pandemic.
Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you know Diane Bunny Fleeks. She said we did Color Girls in Fairbanks a few years back.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So for Color Girls, it's been done quite a bit, but I've heard stories that the Wiz was here at one time in the production of the Wiz.
Right, where the professional production came in, and East High did a marvelous production of the Wiz.
Oh my goodness, East High.
T-Birds.
Yeah, we did Joe Turner's Come and Gone, an August Wilson play at East High, and that was 94, I think that was. Yeah. And then I also, I think in talking to Vivian and Shirley, found out that August Wilson actually visited Alaska, or Valdez.
Several times.
Yeah, several times. Yeah, it's like really, really fascinating. Yeah, for the people out there watching online, if you have any like questions and everything, please throw those in the comments so we can get to some Q&A here. So maybe Cal, we can answer some of your questions for you. So let me look at here. My notes. Oh yeah. So explain a little bit more to us about what you do as an artist. We know you sing, drum.
Well, again, my acting and showing off and being a clown began at a very early age, so I can't stop doing it. And now I bring it into my work as what I call, I am a performing historian. I've blended my two passions. One, a love for history, particularly history of African Americans in Alaska. Long ago, I was going in and out of the schools talking about Black history and Negro history. And I noticed when I talked about George Washington and Carver and the peanut and stuff, the kids would sit there. But then when I started telling them about buildings that they had been by or been in and what that building was and who those people were and stuff, I noticed oh, they were taking a real interest in local African American history. So that's where I zeroed in and focused. And I wanted to always highlight um, African Americans that I knew or that were around during the time, the 50s and the 60s and stuff, and bring that to the youth so that they could see that they're standing on the shoulders of giants that we've done before. That at one time in this city, there were 5,000 people marching downtown in unison with what was happening in the civil rights movement down in Lower 48. And the chief of police, Flanagan, was marching with the people. And the mayor, Elmer Rasmussen, got so excited, he paid $500 and became a life member of the NAACP. So
Wow.
those kind of things have occurred in this town before. But we
Yeah.
think, oh, this is the first time we've had a movement and a march and a protest. That's not so true. But we have to teach that. And that's what I want to do. And I do as a performer and try and get it out there in humor and stuff. And people don't recoil or feel guilty about anything. I try not to make people feel threatened by the message. But the message certainly is needed. People talk about, we cannot teach critical race theory because the people are going to hate the people and the people are going to hate themselves. Well, that is not very well true.
Right.
And if it is, look what has happened to African Americans who have gone through periods of self-hate and self-loathing and changing the view and the hair and the stuff to get away from being who we were. How
Right.
unfair has that been?
So true, so true. Yeah, let's not talk about critical race theory because it's just been getting on my nerves. Like,
right.
right? Because like to me, it's like, yo, we did away with that conversation by the late 90s. We had beat critical race theory amongst Black intellectuals. We had beat it into the ground. There's nothing else more to say. We debated it time and time again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now everybody like talking about like it's a new thing. It's like nothing new about critical race theory, like, you know, but have at it, people. You know, let them be king. We all do some different stuff now, you know. But yeah, but that's fascinating to know because like even with BAM, Black Alaskan Artists Matter, and this is like I said, our second year, and even in conceiving this, and I've said it, you know, to the curator, it's like I know this is not the first. I know there have been people who come before us, but the issue that I've had locating stuff is like, where's it documented, right? Haven't found any things in archives, not much digital blueprint, you know, is there. So we have these oral histories, you know, and that's like, yo, we can talk to Cal, we can get a lot of information and stuff like this.
Yeah, well, storytelling. I can remember when I was a kid, this man, Eddie Griffin, the father of one of my classmates, every Friday he would sit on the porch and we'd gather around on the steps and sit on the ground and listen to him tell us about the haunted man walking down the railroad track with his head in his hand and scare us to death and all that stuff. Because again, we didn't have television. So I admired, ooh, man, here's a guy that can sit and hold you spellbound with this storytelling idea. So that too is part of why I do what I do. And you were talking about the pain of thinking about such things as, again, critical race theory. But that is indeed why the cage birds sing. We sing to hide the pain, and from that suffering comes great creativity if we allow it.
Yes.
Rather than be consumed by the negative and allowing it to take us under, we take a strength from it and allow that to have us fly over.
Nice. We have a comment here from Ibn. Is that how you say his name? Yeah. Oh, there it is. Will your recent performance be posted on YouTube? What was the name of the man the play was based on? So I guess we was speaking about a play earlier, and a play was based on somebody. We talked about
Joe Turner. Why Joe Turner is gone? Was that the one?
Yeah. I think that's the only play we've talked about Joe Turner. We talked about For Colored Girls, but Joe Turner Come and Gone isn't what I remember. It's not based on like a single character or whatever. It was just kind of like this period piece.
Well, Ibn was reading with me that part for Diane Fleece up there out of Fairbanks, and we say that Joe Turner was one who was a slave catcher, and he was returning the slaves that were run away.
Yeah, I got to go back to read that play again. And it was so long ago. I played Bynum, the old man, and really funny.
That's who I played.
Oh my
I love that. Wasn't it a great? Yeah. I heal her. That's what I do.
Oh my God, this is so fascinating. This is, like I said, this is the second time. Just like last year, I'm telling you, I had this conversation with Vivian and our connection with Color Girl. So you telling me we both played the same character in Joe Turner's Come and Gone.
Joe Turner, yeah. We got parallels.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
that's a crazy role. I love that role. In fact, every now and then I take a monologue from it. Another monologue I love is from Tambourines to Glory, written by Langston Hughes. Yeah. And while I was in Hollywood, I was taking two studies at the same time. I was at the Lee Strasberg School of Method Acting. But then a brother was in that class, and he said, man, this is a bunch of BS. This is white folks. This is what they do for acting. They got to come up with a method. We got natural, man. Come on over on La Cienega Boulevard. There's a brother over there. His name is Frank Silvera. Now, most people think he's Spanish because most of them roles he played is a Spanish. He done played all kind of Spanish movies and stuff, but he's a real brother, and he's teaching us the theater of being.
Wow.
So what? Being. Yeah, man. Forget all that method. You just be the character. Be the theater of being. So over there, indeed, there I was going daytime to this method acting, but at night I was going over there, and Bea Richards, you may know her. She was one of the students there. We had a brother from Anchorage, Lincoln Kilpatrick. He did quite a number of works there. He was there. And Richard Williams, who did several movies and stuff, was there. So you'd get up on stage and they tell you, get off of that stage. I don't believe nothing you're doing. That ain't real. I don't feel you. I don't feel you. So
so far I haven't had to go through anything rigorous like that in my theater career. Like, I remember most when Joe Turner's coming. The line that sticks with me is the one where it says, you get a good woman, but water and berries can live 100 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I can live 100 years with you, babe. We good to go. Just give me some water and berries. You're good. Okay, we got a couple more comments here. I don't know what that one is. VR read. Okay. Well, no questions. Okay, so a question that I have, because we hear like the 45-minute mark, is what up? Yeah, I know, right? It went by really fast.
Yeah.
We need to do this again, you know what I'm saying? Part 2, volume 2, whatever, just wrap it up with Mo and Cal. Right. We could do this all day.
I love it.
Yeah, I really like that too. I'm enjoying this, and I guess I'm enjoying it more than like I should be, because I'm supposed to be curating. We're supposed to be talking about art. Oh my gosh, what new projects you got? You got any projects on the horizon coming up?
Well, like I'm 365 days a year pushing and reading and researching Black history. So the month is not confined to 28 days for me. But indeed, in February, I get extremely busy because I do get a lot of requests to come out and do stuff. I think I got about 6 more before the end of this month. I've done United Way. I've been out on base. We did the thing at the museum, the history of the NAACP, Corinne and I, and Daryl Hawks on the piano. Oh man, it was great. That was a collaborative work. And I'm revising a play that I wrote some time ago. That you're talking about the relationship between the blacks and the Thai people, and I wrote one back in '96 because there was this tension between African Americans and the Samoans.
Uh-huh.
So I wrote this piece, which is a one-act play, and I'm the racist old black guy. My daughter ain't gonna date no Samoan, and before it ends, I get shocked on the job, and the Samoans have to drag me to safety and stuff. And it ends with my daughter marrying Tua and having all this song and stuff. And we got black songs and Samoan songs all through it. So that I'm wanting to put back on stage again now, but mostly because of the busy schedule, I'm not able to do what I do love, actually being in a play where you interact with other characters and stuff and do a rehearsal. Because I'm so busy, I can't cut out rehearsal time and be relied upon to show up because I'm with the NAACP and this and that. But I get it, my fill by doing stand-up stuff, one-act play, character stuff, going out with Sidney to talk to the children at the school. Sidney, you've been eating too much.
Oh my goodness. No, I feel you. It's just like, yeah, the last few years, Black History Month, go for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't been able, to like really stop and absorb it in. And I mean, I'm grateful. Let me not be that way, because I'm grateful for where I'm at in my life right now, and to be in this position in community with you, with the Perseverance Theater, many things that I do. So yeah, everything is intense during Black History Month, and like, oh my gosh, and then it spills over because Black History is just not in 28 days. It's not just in February. It's January. It's 365. But oh my gosh, and for me, it goes Black History Month. No, I tell you like this: it's like my birthday is in January, Dr. King Day, Black History Month, Women's History Month. Oh, I get a break. Now it's time to start getting ready for Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Well, the great thing is, like you do all these things and you feel when you come in sometimes that, what is the worth? But if in fact it affects one, and it certainly does affect more than that, person to value the direction and the mission and the past. I love the name, Preservation Theater, preserving, keeping, documenting for generations yet to come. In Louisiana, they got the Preservation Hall, and there were these history of the jazz musicians out of New Orleans and stuff. So a kid can walk in and say, oh, wow, I want to be like that. So preserving the history when so many are devaluating the history, especially the history of indigenous people and people of color, doesn't ring as important as even during Black History Month. They've come up with all kind of other celebrations and holidays and stuff. And say, hey, I thought this was Black History Month. What y'all doing with this, with jumping on my month? Yeah. So and then our kids come in, throw all of the photographs and stuff and newspaper clippings in the dumpster when we die, and they go to the bank and get the money out of the bank and go through the jury box, but they throw all of that history in the dumpster, photographs and stuff. So I tell everybody, black, white, or green, your history, starting with your family history, is extremely important to your children, your descendants. Value it, preserve it.
There it is, y'all. Cal Williams here, BAAM Exam, with your girl, MC MoHagani Magnetek. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Yeah. Good. I'm glad It ends on that note. That's good. Good stuff.
Oh my gosh, Cal, thank you so much. How wonderful to hear your history and the lived experience that you shared tonight. I can't wait to see you in an August Wilson play. And I want to hear your gospel singing. I know you were singing a little bit during our tech, so you've already got me thinking.
Thank
Yes.
you. 5:30 every Sunday over at St. Anthony's. We do rock out.
Ooh, right on. That's in Anchorage?
It's in Anchorage, 5:30 on Sundays on San Roberto and Clevin. I am the choir director and solo singer and water bearer and all that stuff.
Good
Ooh.
times.
Okay, that's inspiring. When I'm in
Yeah.
Anchorage next, I'm gonna have to make a plan to be there during that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you
You know,
once again. Thank you so much, Cal. Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you, Mahogany. I
Pleasure.
look forward to seeing all of you in the flesh sometime soon. Our
Yes.
work is the same, so I'm sure that will happen.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of BAM. And I can't wait to meet you in person. That would be such an honor and a
Same
pleasure.
here. Same here.
Beautiful. Well, thank you too, MC MoHagani Magnetek, for yet another wonderful dynamic conversation. It's always that.
Wasn't it now?
Oh, yes, it was. Oh my gosh. I just have to say too, you look spectacular. I love your background. It looks like a fireside chat. It's so elegant.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm on location and everything. Got a whole little film crew and everything. She helped me get it all set up and everything, so that's good stuff. But yeah, that was a good game. Look, these are my notes. This is every time, whether it's like 30 seconds or 3 hours, I gotta take notes when I'm talking to Cal. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we'll come back to this, but and I'm glad, which leads me to, I'm glad that we talked a bit about Vivian Mel, who is starring in
Yes.
Paranormal.
That's right, Vivian. Yes, is down with us in Juneau. Douglas on Klinkadani, currently performing in the Brothers Paranormal with Eddie Jones of the Juneau Tlingit community, and just very excited to like we were mentioning earlier, to have this Black story and this Asian story come together in this play, The Brothers Paranormal, written by Prince Gomavias, who is a Thai American playwright, actually the first published Thai American playwright in the US, one of the earliest and only Thai American playwrights. So just honored to have had Prince write with us until early this morning for our opening weekend. And I'm really grateful that a dear colleague and friend and just a brilliant director, actor like yourself, a multidisciplinary actor and artist, Randy Reyes, who's Pinoy, Filipino, directed this play, and it's brilliant. It's a joy. We have Elizabeth, who's with us, and Pai Garon, who is also in the Juneau Douglas community, and Mike Rao, who is with us, also playing one of the brothers. And then yours truly is back on stage again, making an Alaskan debut. So just a great honor and a pleasure to be with us, come and be with us and join us for this play. We will start an on-demand offering as well, but if you can see it, live, if at all possible, it's just incredible live and in person. And we have a mitigation plan, so we're keeping everyone safe. Be sure you actually make reservations, even if you're not sure, and you can get that in the day before, because it helps us to be able to seat folks, make sure you're safe, and you can be sure to sit safely with, maybe you're coming with a friend or your family or a neighbor. So making a reservation is the best way. We're not really able to handle those walk-ups like we used to, because we want to be responsible and make sure you're safe. But also, oh my goodness, Fun Home will be with us in the spring, that Tony Award winning musical. So get ready for that. It's the first time Perseverance Theater is actually centering the LGBTQ community and story. And we're excited to bring that back. This is the show that we had to kind of, cut off when we were right at Tech when COVID hit. So we remain committed and are excited to bring that back this spring. And we're working to stay safe so we can make sure that we see that through and honor the LGBTQ story. But that said, you know, Alyssa, Amable, UMC, our dear curators, I'm excited to share that we have another BAM conversation coming up February 27th, once again at 6 p.m. Yeah, any thoughts there, MC MoHagani Magnetic?
Um, I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to our curators talk. Just telling my girlfriend today that one of the things that I see this year that I hadn't seen, that I didn't see the first time, was like we got so much response from the artists saying how transformative BAM has been in their lives. We've gotten more of that from the artists this year than have from audience and everything, and I think that's just absolutely wonderful. It's like, oh my gosh, we really are making some good changes here. We really are helping our communities. This is a wonderful idea, and I'm like happy to be curating again. And I'm looking forward to. I miss Amable and Alyssa already. It's been a long month, so I'm looking forward to getting with other curators, and we have our curator talk, and we close this wonderful show out. But yeah, BAM Visionary, spectacular. Spectacular. And people can still check it out. Go to the website, Hope Perseverance Theater. Go to the tab, BAM Black Alaskan Matters, the exhibition, and check out the artists. Like so many great artists, and so many artists are family members. This is what we finding out here. We knew that. I knew the two sisters. Now there's an auntie and nephews and niece, because it's like. And they're having family conversations about being artists and moving forward as art. Just like, yeah, we did it. We're doing the darn thing. It's good stuff. And thank you so much, Leslie and Irene. Give it up for our DJ
Irene in the house, keeping us moving and all together, coordinated, and how elegant this series is because of your support, Irene, as producer, and certainly with our tech for each of these conversations. It's truly an honor to have you on our team. And MoHagani, of course, Mabla and Alyssa, I can't wait for that conversation. It's wonderful to hear you get to have this banter, this wonderful discussion about the artists of Alaska and yourselves as artists as well. I love that part. You are artists that also do it multidisciplinary. We accept all the folks who are coming from many different forms of expression and creativity. And it's so critical. We're also learning that many are there for the first time. So, submitting. And we hope that we can be some kind of support so that you can submit for other artistic fellowships, ways to get your art exhibited and shared out, and to support you to build this platform for your community, for the Black community. So we are so excited to continue this, and we're committed to it. Yay.
Thank you again. Once again, Cal Williams, thank you for a wonderful conversation, pleasant conversation this evening.
Yes.
Yeah. So Leslie, going to take us out of here?
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, you all. Thanks everyone for joining us. Look to February 27th for the next curator conversation. It's going to be dynamic. They're incredible artists themselves. We can't wait to lift them up as we close out BAM for the year. But Black history is every day, not just Black History Month. And we'll look forward to bringing you more programming as well. So stay tuned. This is the place to be, y'all. Stay tuned. Look for the Brothers Paranormal and Fun Home in the spring. And again, February 27th, 6 p.m., BAM Visionary Exhibition. Join us then as well. Yay. Take care, everybody. Be safe. Wear a mask. Hope if you haven't been vaccinated or boosted, you're inclined to do that, and support your community to be healthy. Thank you so much. Gunasish Hawa Indoyaksen Chinan Base.